And contract ID 26 is NC0002 consulting services for the conduct of Geohazard assessment and Geotechnical and Geological service investigation for various FY 2026 infrastructure projects cluster 2. And contract ID 26 is NC0003 consulting services for the conduct of Geohazard assessment and Geotechnical and Geological service and investigation for various FY 2026 infrastructure project cluster 3. With the contract duration with an EBC for 001 of 4,891,878 pesos and 62 centavos and a contract duration of 70 calendar days. And for 02 with an EBC of 4,592,544 pesos and 64 centavos. And for 03 na budget of the contract is 4,963,929 pesos and 40 centavos. The contract duration 70 calendar days. And for the quorum for this private conference, the fact secretary will pull the room.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for our once again good morning. For the attendance of this private conference, I call the back members, Engineer Edwin Nacorda, back chairperson, Engineer Elmi Lindsay Pulampos, back vice chairperson, Engineer Rodel Iridao, back regular member, Engineer Marilyn D.P. Undap, back professional member, Engineer Bendy Galdiano, and for the back secretariat, yours truly, Engineer Alik Madelinsi Abogado, Ms. Idna Curato, Gloria Elduga, Raisa Inactu. And for our back PWH member, we have our back PWH head, Engineer Greta B. Alperis, Engineer Angel Bert C. Hibo,
Present.
Engineer Tom Brian D. Coraldi,
Present.
Engineer G. Mark D. Dongdong, and Mr. Mark Gerald O. Ostiki. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So we'll proceed for the presentation for 26 is NC 001 o cluster 1.
Thank you, sir. Before I start with my presentation, I would like to ask the permission of the body to allow me to present the terms of reference at the later part of the presentation, since the three contracts has the same contents. I will present first the involved project details as well as the project sites for the three contracts.
Okay. Proceed.
So this is for the contract 23 CSNC 001, or known as the Cluster 1. The project title is Consulting Services for the Conduct of Geohazard Assessment and Geotechnical and Geological Surveys or Investigation for various FY 2026 infrastructure projects for Cluster 1. This is within projects within the San Francisco and Rosario Agusan del Sur. So for the type of work or activity, this involves subsurface explorations or geological and geotechnical investigation with geohazard assessment of various projects within San Francisco and Rosario Agusan del Sur. The ABC is 4,891,878 pesos and 62 centavos, and calendar days to complete is 70, and the source of fund is from PDE fund for 2025 So the number of projects involved, we have 11 sites, and the number of boreholes, 15 boreholes, with a depth of 15 meters and 30-meter depth. Overborings, 46 overholes with a depth of 1.5 meters from the ground. And these are the projects, the 11 sites. So we have in RJ, Hubang, Managbay, Alegria Diversion Road, Barangay 1 to Barangay Alegria Section, Agusan del Sur. We will be requiring two test pits or overholes with a depth of 1.5 and a spacing of 250 meters. And we will also require two boreholes for the road approaches of the bridge with a depth of 15 meters. Then, for the projects for construction improvement of access roads leading to declared tourism destinations, we have NRJ Maharlika Highway, Purok 6 to Purok 9, Masamang Poset Road, leading to Dinagitan Cave and Falls, Barangay Baylantres, Rosario, Agusan del Sur. We have 3 test pits. NRJ Pasta, Buenusuerte, Kaimpugan Road, leading to Kaimpugan Pit Swamp. We will require 3 test pits and 2 boreholes. Pisaan, Lukak, Bitanagan Road, leading to Dato Kanawa Kalitay Cave, San Francisco, Agusan del Sur. We will require 3 test pits and 1 borehole. For our DTI or roll-in projects, we have Buhisan, Manlawigan, Kalasian, Paligusan Road. We will require 3 test pits and 1 borehole for this road protection. And for the Lapinigan Mate Bato Road, Purok Marasigan, Purok 7, Panganan Road, and Sichupalo Alegria Road, we will be requiring 3 test pits for every project. For the Santa Ana Lagadan Road, this site is composed of 2 projects. So we will be requiring 8 test pits and 4 boreholes. This is for this road protection. And for the completing of Bayogan Dos, Ebro, New Visayas, Sitio Pudlusan, Bourbon Road, we will be requiring 6 test pits and 4 boreholes, 2 of which will be having a depth of 15 meters and 2 will have a depth of 30 meters. So the 2 boreholes with a depth of 30 meters is for the proposed bridge at the site. We also have construction of Hinatuan, Bunawan, Rosario Bypass Road. We will be requiring 9 test pits and 1 boreholes with a total of 46 test pits and 15 boreholes. Mr. Chair, may I proceed with the second?
Okay, please proceed for cluster 2.
For 23 CSNC 002, cluster 2, consulting services for the conduct of geohazard assessment and geotechnical and geological surveys, investigations for various FY 2026 infra projects, cluster 2. This is within the municipality of Bunawan and Trento, Agusan del Sur. So same type of work or activities, subsurface explorations, geological and geotechnical investigation with geohazard assessment of various projects within Bunawan and Trento, with an ABC of 4,592,534.64 and calendar days completed 70. This is also funded under PDE 2025. Number of project sites, we have 11 sites. Number of boreholes, 33 boreholes with 15 and 30 meter depth, and 17 overholes with 1.5 meter depth. So for the project sites, we have NRJ Cuevas Bislig Road, 1386 plus 036 to 1386 plus 154. This is within Trento. We will be requiring 2 boreholes. And NRJ Maharlika Highway, Bunawan, Brook, Tagbayang, Bag Road, leading to Bulungan Waterfalls. We'll be requiring 3 test pits and 2 boreholes. For left side 45 San Andres Barangay Road, 3 test pits, Simulao Imelda, Libertad Road, 3 test pits and 1 borehole for slow protection. For computing of energy, Pulang Lupa, New Visayas, De Oro Boundary Road, 3 test pits and 1 borehole. Computing of energy, Salvation Gate to Sitio San Marcos of Barangay Salvacion, 3 test pits, 1 borehole. Computing of energy, San Ignacio to Barangay Sibulin to Barangay Tudela, 3 test pits and 1 borehole. Construction of Trento Pangyan Road, 3 test pits and 2 boreholes. Rehabilitation of Bunawan Barwela Road, Barangay Nueva Era, Bunawan, 6 test pits and 1 borehole. For the computing of Purok 2B, Barangay Consuelo, Purok 9, Upper Cootinago, Nampa Road, 6 test pits and 1 borehole. While the construction of bridge and RG Sarmiento, Trento Bislid Bypass Road, we will be requiring 5 boreholes with a depth of 30 meters since the project involves construction of bridge. In total, we will be requiring 33 test pits or overhauls and 70 boreholes. For 23 CSNC 003 Cluster 3, consulting services for the conduct of Geohazard assessment and Geotechnical and Geological service investigation for various 2026 infra projects, Cluster 3. This is within the municipality of Veruela, Santa Josefa, and La Paz, Agusan del Sur. ADC is 4,963,929.4 and calendar days to complete 70, and the source of fund is from PPE 2025. We only have 8 sites for this cluster, and this would involve 9 boreholes and with 15 meter depth and 27 overholes, 1.5 meter depth. Sorry, may I correct this one? 9 test pits and 27 boreholes. Nagkabalitan po. So for Veruela, we have sections from Asuncion, San Isidro, sections within Asuncion, San Isidro, Lac, Veruela Road, 1532. We will be requiring 6 boreholes. For section 1534, we will require 6 boreholes. For section 1347, we will require 4 boreholes. For Butuan, City, Talacogon, Loreto, Veruela, 4 boreholes. For Butuan City, Talacogon, Loreto, Veruela, and Santa Josefa Road, 1360 section, 4 boreholes. For Butuan City, Talacogon, Loreto, Veruela, Santa Josefa Road, 1362, 6 boreholes. For Santa Josefa, we have NRJ, Poblacion Concepcion, Sayon, Tagmanoro, Awang, Crossing, Dodol Road, 3 test pits. And for La Paz section, we have Tagyakbo, Kumota, Lydia Road, 3 test pits. And lastly, Tugpan, Pinip Road, connecting rubber, banana wood plantation sites, 3 test pits and 1 borehole. In total, 9 test pits and 27 boreholes. So for the terms of reference, the 3 contracts has the same content of the terms of reference. So these terms of reference is prepared in accordance with applicable DPWH policies, standards, and guidelines, including DEO 75 series of 2024, DPWH DGCS, Volume 2A, and Volume 2C, and other applicable engineering codes and regulations. The consultancy services shall include planning, reconnaissance survey, geohazard assessment, geological investigation, geotechnical investigation, field and laboratory testing, engineering analysis, interpretation of findings, preparation of maps and technical reports, and formulation of engineering recommendations necessary for the preparation of the detailed engineering design. So for the objectives, the consultancy services aim to achieve the following objectives: to assess and document existing geologic, geomorphologic, hydrologic, and geohazard conditions affecting the proposed project sites, to conduct geological and geotechnical investigations necessary to determine subsurface conditions and engineering properties of soil and rock materials. To identify geological constraints and potential geohazards that may influence project feasibility, alignment selection, constructability, and long-term infrastructure performance. To evaluate site susceptibility to hazards, including but not limited to landslide, flooding, erosion, liquefaction, ground shaking, problematic soils, and soil instability. To determine engineering parameters necessary for the design of pavements, embankments, foundation, retaining structures, drainage structures, and other infra components. To establish design recommendations based on field and laboratory investigation, including bearing capacity, settlement characteristic, groundwater conditions, and slope stability. To recommend mitigation and engineering countermeasures appropriate to identify hazards and ground conditions, and to prepare complete geohazard assessment report, geological investigation report, and geotechnical investigation report to support the preparation of the DEO. The scope of work shall include but not limited to the following: review of available data and project information. So the consultant shall familiarize itself with the approved investigation requirements, including the proposed borehole test pit and overhaul quantities and locations, type of geotech investigation equipment, proposed in situ and laboratory testing program, available preliminary information, and approved engineering, geological, and hazard assessment EGA report if available. Letter B, coordination meeting and joint site inspection. So prior to the conduct of field activities, a coordination meeting shall be conducted between the DPWH Geotechnical Investigation Team, the implementing office, and the consultant to discuss the approved GI plan and methodology, scope of work, investigation requirements, testing program, reporting requirements, safety requirements, and implementation schedule. The consultant, together with the DPWH GI team and or authorized representative of the implementing office, shall conduct a joint site inspection to verify the actual site conditions and define the field implementation requirements. So the site inspection shall include verification of project location, its accessibility, validation of proposed borehole, test pit, and overhaul locations, identification of actual ground and terrain conditions, identification of visible geohazard indicators, document of existing road, slope, drainage, river, creek, and structural conditions within the vicinity, and recommendation of necessary adjustments subject to approval by the implementing office. Letter C, conduct of geohazard assessment. So the consultant shall conduct geohazard assessment to identify and evaluate natural, geological, hydrological, and climate-related hazards that may affect the feasibility, design, construction, operation, maintenance, and long-term performance of the proposed infra project. So the assessment shall include, whenever applicable, active fault and seismic hazard assessment, ground shaking assessment, liquefaction susceptibility assessment, rainfall-induced landslide assessment, slope instability assessment, flood and river overflow assessment if applicable, riverbank erosion and scarring assessment if applicable, karst, sinkhole, and subsidence assessment, problematic soil assessment including soft, expansive, compressible, organic, or highly saturated soils, groundwater-related hazard assessment, and climate-related hazard considerations. The consultant shall prepare corresponding geohazard maps, inventory, site observations, geotech photographs, engineering interpretation, and recommended mitigation measures. For the minimum required outputs for the geohazard assessment, the consultant is required to submit as applicable geohazard assessment report, location map, geologic map, geomorphologic map, topographic map, hazard maps, liquefaction assessment, slope stability and slope failure inventory, geological cross sections if applicable, engineering geological interpretation, photographs, hazard inventory table, and recommended mitigation measures. Conduct of geological survey investigation. The consultant shall conduct geological survey and investigation to determine the geological setting and engineering geological conditions of the project areas. This shall include regional and site geology assessment, surface geological mapping, identification of soil and rock formations, rock outcrop characterization, if applicable, structural geology assessment including faults, joints, bedding, folds, fractures, and discontinuities, geomorphologic assessment, groundwater observation, preparation of geological maps, profile, intersections, engineering geological interpretation of site condition. There E, conduct of geotechnical investigation. The consultant shall conduct subsurface exploration and geotechnical investigation in accordance with the approved geoplan and methodology DEO 75 series of 2024 DGCS Volume 2C and the detailed exploration requirements specification forming part of this DEO. So this shall include borehole drilling, test pitting or auger boring, standard penetration testing, soil and rock sampling, rock coring, groundwater level observation, in situ testing, preparation of borehole logs, test pit logs, overhole summaries, and soil profiles, and subsurface interpretation. Laboratory testing. The consultant shall ensure that all necessary laboratory tests on soil and rock samples recovered from the field investigation are conducted in accordance with applicable DPWH, AASHTO, STM, and other relevant standards. Laboratory tests on soil and rock samples shall be performed by the DPWH Quality Assurance and Hydrology Divisions or other testing centers accredited or approved by the DPWH ERS. So the testing shall include, as applicable, natural moisture content, grain size analysis or SIP analysis, hydrometer analysis, Atterberg limits, specific gravity, unit weight, compaction test, CBR, California Bear Ratio, consolidation test, swell index test, permeability test, and confined compression test, direct shear test, triaxial compression test, rock strength test, if applicable, other tests that are necessary for proper engineering evaluation. Part G, witnessing, certification, and documentation. A representative from the DPWH team or their authorized representative shall oversee and or supervise the conduct of field investigation. The conduct of field and laboratory tests shall be witnessed by the duly designated representative of the GI team. During the conduct of field and laboratory activities, the consultant shall take geotag photographs showing the actual location, date, coordinates, stationing, personal equipment, and activity being undertaken. The geotag photos shall be attached as annexes or appendices to the geotechnical investigation report and other applicable reports. Part H, engineering evaluation and recommendation. The consultant shall analyze and interpret all gathered data and test results to provide engineering recommendations for the proposed infra project. So the evaluation shall include, whenever applicable, soil and rock classification, subsurface stratigraphy, groundwater condition, allowable bearing capacity, foundation recommendation, settlement analysis, slope stability assessment, liquefaction assessment, pavement and subgrade recommendations, embankment and cut field recommendations, slope protection and retaining structure recommendation, drainage and erosion control recommendation, recommended mitigation measures for identified geohazards, and construction consideration and limitation. Part I, preparation and submission of reports. The consultant shall prepare and submit complete technical reports and supporting documents covering the geohazard, geological, and geotechnical findings of the investigation. The required report shall include inception report, progress report, final report, final geohazard assessment, final geological investigation report, final geotechnical investigation report, laboratory test result, drawings, maps, plans, profiles, intersections, geotag photographs, and digital and editable files. So the reports with color blue, they can be submitted as one, bounded as one. And drawings, maps, plans, profiles. There is a standard format for this, and I will be presenting it later on. Then for the number of copies to be submitted is 4 copies for the final report. So for the draft, they may submit 1 copy only for correction. So preparation of the geotechnical plan. So upon once upon finalization and approval of the geotechnical investigation report, the consultant shall prepare the corresponding geotechnical plan in accordance with the latest DPWH issuances for the preparation of the DP. This geotechnical plan, my standard format din siya, and this will be prepared once na final na po yung geotechnical investigation report, since there is a possibility of ma-offset yung mga location ng borehole. So dapat ma-final muna yung geotechnical investigation report bago gawin yung geotechnical plan. The geotechnical plan shall reflect, as applicable, the borehole test pit and overhaul location, stationing, coordinates, ground elevation, groundwater elevation, subsurface profile, recommended foundation or treatment measures, and other relevant geotechnical info necessary for the preparation. So for the key personnel detailed task responsibilities and qualification, we will be requiring a minimum of 3. 1 team leader. The team leader must be a registered civil engineer, must be a holder of master's degree in geotechnical engineering as per DEO 75 series of 2024. He or she must have at least 5 years of experience in carrying out geotechnical soil investigation and or surveys, test boring, sampling, and analysis of similar and or related projects. For the geologist, he or she must be a licensed geologist or qualified engineering geologist, must have at least 3 years of experience in geological mapping, geohazard assessment, engineering geological assessment, landslide slope assessment, or related works, and has an experience in infrastructure-related geological and geohazard assessment is preferred. For the laboratory technician, he or she must have at least 3 years of experience in carrying out sampling and analysis for geotechnical soil investigation and or surveys test boring, must be a registered civil engineer, and must have a bachelor's degree in civil engineering, MS or doctorate degree is an advantage. Their service will be, they will serve within the duration of the contract duration, 70 man-days. Equipment and laboratory requirements. So laboratory tests on soil samples recovered during field investigation shall be performed at the DPWH Bureau of Research and Standards, BRS, RO, DEO, or other testing centers accredited by DPWH BRS, and must have properly calibrated laboratory equipment. So a certification or any proof of accreditation of the laboratory where the test of the samples are conducted shall be attached during the submission of the test results. In the conduct of geotechnical investigation, the consultant shall utilize the standard format for final borehole log and test pit over. I will be presenting it later on, as well as the legends for soil rocks in accordance to Annex D, as per the GCH. So report and deliverables. The consultant shall prepare the following reports and deliverables. So first, we have inception report. The consultant is required to submit an inception report within 7 days from the commencement of services. It shall outline a detailed work program and briefly describe the methodology and project schedule in Gantt and S-curve proposed to meet the terms of reference. Inception report shall be submitted in soft mounted. Partial investigation reports. So the consultant is required to submit the initial result of the boring, drilling conducted within 5 days from the date of drill of each project to the DPWH Agusan del Sur second DEO. This will give the designer an advanced result of the data. Okay lang po kahit handwritten siya, as long as within 5 days from the drilling of the borehole, it will be given to the office. Partial investigation results may be submitted per project site, per completed borehole, per completed road section, or as may be required by the DEO. Review, approval, and compliance. So the GI report shall be duly signed by the geotechnical engineer on record of the geotechnical consulting firm. The report shall be subject to the review of the DPWH GI team and approval by the head of the implementing office. The consultant shall address all comments, corrections, and recommendations of the reviewing office prior to final acceptance of the deliverables. The consultant shall use the standard formats for borehole and summary test pit auger hole drilling as result prescribed under DEO 75 series of 2024. Support contracting. The consultant may subcontract portions of the consulting services to an extent allowed by the applicable procurement laws, rules, and regulations, and subject to prior approval of the procurement entity and implementing office. Any subcontracting arrangement shall not relieve the consultant of its obligations, responsibilities, and liabilities under the contract. The consultant shall remain fully responsible for the quality, accuracy, completeness, and timely submission of all reports, plans, maps, laboratory results, calculations, recommendations, and other deliverables required under this DOR. The consultant shall certify the completeness, accuracy, and reliability of all works and outputs performed by its subconsultants or subcontractors. In case the geotechnical investigation is subcontracted, the geotechnical engineer of the contracted consulting firm shall sign the geotechnical investigation report in concurrence with the geotechnical engineer on record of the hired geotechnical consulting firm in accordance with DPWH requirements. So here is indicative schedule of activities. So week 1 will be upon commencement of the contract coordination meeting. So dito masulod dito po papasok ang inception report. So we will for week 1 and 2 site inspection and field validation. Week 1 to 4, Geohazard assessment in parallel with geological survey and mapping, as well as the borehole drilling, test pitting, and auger boring until week 6. So up to week 7, in parallel also of those activities will be laboratory testing. So we advise the consultant that upon the soil sample gathering, we advise them to transmit the samples to the laboratory for faster result of the testing. Then partial investigation report up to week 6, engineering analysis and interpretation, along with the draft final report up to week 8. Then revision of draft final report week 8 and week 9. Final report and final deliverables, week 9 and 10, and geological or the geotechnical plan. Once the final GI report is okay, so the geological and geotechnical plan shall commence. So for the key personnel, the team leader, all throughout the contract shall be, and he shall participate. So the geologist, engineering geologist, and the lab tech, he may perform up to week 8. For survey and GIS personnel, so up to week 6 upon borehole or test pitting activity, and the data encoder after the result of the laboratory testing. So for the payment schedule, so upon mobilization, he can claim 15%. So the indicative will be upon the submission of inception report. So for the draft final report, 35%. So this is upon submission of draft final report. For the final report, this is 40% of the contract amount. So this is upon submission of the revision and acceptance of final report. So take note, acceptance of final report. Then lastly, 10% will be upon for the geotechnical plan as well as the digital files. So this is upon submission and approval of the geotechnical plan and digital files. So in total, 100%. Another note, the consultant shall notify the IO in writing prior to the conduct of field activities so that a duly designated DPWH representative may witness the activity as required. The consultant shall immediately inform the IO and the DPWH GI team of any issue, obstruction, unsafe condition, access problem, refusal, unusual subsurface condition, groundwater problem, or geohazard condition encountered during the conduct of activities. So take note, no change in methodology, investigation location, investigation depth, quantity, testing program, or personal assignment shall be made without prior approval of the implementing office. So for the annexes of the standard format for test results as well as the geotechnical plan, so as per DEO 75, the central office has established the standard format for the results as well as the plan, GI plan. So this is the sample of borehole format, borehole logs. So by the way, these formats are attached in our DOR. Naka-attach ko siya sa annexes. The summary of test pit, overhaul drilling test result. So for the geotechnical plan, so we have, para na talaga siyang plano. So this may be submitted in A3 form. Cover page. So this is the sample straight line location of your test pit. So you also have typical cross-section of the location of your test pits. So this is the sample of soil profiles for the test pits and with the identification of the type of soil as per laboratory test result. So this is a sample of borehole location plan for roads. So if this is the proposed structure, we have borehole at the bottom or at the beginning and or end of the project, or depending box na identify ng GIP. So the samples cross section of the borehole. So this is the ground. Profiling the borehole result. Then sample geotechnical plan for the bridge project. So cover page. So this is the elevation and top view. So this is your proposed bridge and your borehole profile. Then test pit and borehole location plan if ever the project site involves test pitting as well as the borehole. Then profile. So water in your project, I think in this contract there are no involved water project as well as building project. So aside from those sample plans, there should be an included geological and geotechnical waiver included in the GI plan. So this will be signed. So I think that would be all, Mr. Chair, for the project details.
So thank you for the presentation and proceed to the bidding documents. Ulit yung WhatsApp.
Good morning, everyone. For the bidding documents, for 26 CSN 0001, notice of eligibility and shortlisting. Number 1, Department of Public Works and Highways, Agusan del Sur 2nd District Engineering Office, through the PDE 2025, intends to apply the sum of 4,891,878 pesos and 62 centavos, being the approved budget for the contract ABC to payments under the contract for 26 CSN 001. Consulting services at the conduct of Geohazard assessment and Geotechnical and Geological surveys, investigation for various FY 2026 infrastructure projects. Cluster 1, for which the bidding documents are issued. 2. The procuring entity now invites bids to provide the following consulting services: subsurface explorations, geological and geotechnical investigation, with geohazard assessment of various projects within San Francisco and Rosario, Agusan del Sur. More details on the services are provided in the terms of reference for the project. 3. The consultant shall be selected and employed in accordance with the quality cost-based evaluation or QCBE procedures as described in the bidding documents. This notice has been addressed to the following short-listed consultants: Five, this invitation is non-transferable and may not be assigned to any other consultant. The bidding documents may be acquired at Department of Public Works and Highways, Agusan del Sur, 2nd District Engineering Office, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Mondays to Fridays, upon payment of an applicable fee for the bidding documents pursuant to the latest guidelines issued by the GPPB in the amount of 5,000 pesos. 7. The Department of Public Works and Highways, Agusan del Sur, 2nd District Engineering Office will hold a private conference dated this day at 10 a.m. Procurement Unit, Back Conference Room, DPWH Agusan del Sur, 2nd District Engineering Office, Barangay Caraos, San Francisco, Agusan del Sur, and or through video conference webcasting via Zoom. Meeting ID flash on the screen and live stream on YouTube channel. Eight, bid proposal documents must be received by the procuring entity at the procurement unit, Back Conference Room, DPWH Agusan del Sur, 2nd District Engineering Office, Barangay Caraos, San Francisco, Agusan del Sur, on or before August 24, 2026 at 10 a.m. Next, the preparation of bids. Documents comprising the bid, technical proposal. While preparing the technical proposal, consultants must give particular attention to the following. The technical proposal shall not include any financial information, Any technical proposal containing financial information shall be declared non-responsive. For projects on a staff time basis, the esteemed number of professional staff months specified in the BDS shall be complied with. Bid shall, however, be based on the number of professional staff months estimated by the bidder. Proposed professional staff must, at a minimum, have the experience indicated in the BDS, preferably working under conditions similar to those prevailing in the Republic of the Philippines. No alternative professional staff shall be proposed, and only one curriculum vitae may be submitted for each position. The technical proposal shall contain the following information documents. Technical proposal submission form shall be the cover letter of the technical proposal using the form prescribed in Section 7. TBD related forms TPF1. FELJEP's Certificate of Registration Platinum Membership in accordance with Section 20 of the IRR. Bid security as prescribed in ITB Clause 16 and validity period under ITB Clause 15. Information indicated in the paragraphs below must be provided by the consultant and each partner, if any. Following the formats described in the technical proposal forms. A brief description of the organization and outline of recent experience of the consultant and each partner, if any, on project of a similar and related nature as required in Form TPF2. Consultant's references. For each project, the outline should indicate, among other things, the project, contract amount, and the consultant's involvement. Information should be provided only for those projects for which the consultant was legally contracted by itself or as one of the major participating consultants within an association. Whenever applicable, the experience of individual experts from projects completed independently or when associated with the consultants other than the one with whom the individual is currently associated with cannot be claimed as the experience of the current consultant or any one of its partners, but can be claimed by the individuals themselves in their CVS. Consultants should be prepared to substantiate the claimed experience if so requested by the procuring entity. Comments, if any, on the TOR TPF3. Comments and suggestions of consultant on the terms of preference and on data, services, and facilities to improve performance in carrying out the project. Innovativeness shall be appreciated, including workable suggestions that can improve the quality or effectiveness of the project. In this regard, unless the consultant clearly states otherwise, it shall be assumed by the procuring entity that the work required to implement any such improvements is included in the inputs shown on the consultant's staffing schedule. It shall include a list of facilities requested by the consultant to be provided by the procuring entity, if any, in addition to those shown on the data sheet, that may include support facilities such as counterpart staff, office space, local transportation, equipment, domestic administrative support, etc. that would be needed to carry out the project. A concise, complete, and logical description of how the consultant's team shall carry out the services to meet all requirements of the TOR using TPF4. Description of the methodology and work plan for performing the project. An organization chart of the key and support staff indicating their task in the project using TPF5 team composition and task. The name, age, nationality, background employment record, and professional experience of each nominated expert, including ongoing projects, with particular reference to the type of experience required for the task assigned should be presented in the CV format shown in TPF 6. Format of curriculum vitae for proposed professional staff. Only one duly notarized CV for each consultant involved in the project must be submitted for each position. The procuring entity requires that each expert confirm that the content of its CV is correct, and the experts themselves should sign the certification of the CV. In addition, the expert should submit a signed written commitment stating that the expert shall work for the project once awarded the contract. A 0 rating shall be given to a nominated expert if the expert is proposed for a domestic position but is not a Filipino citizen, failed to state nationality on the CV, or 3, the CV is not signed in accordance with the paragraph V above. A time schedule, TPF 7, time schedule for professional personnel, indicating clearly the estimated duration in terms of person months shown separately for work in the field and in the home office, and the proposed timing of each input for each nominated expert, including domestic experts if required, using the format shown. The schedule shall also indicate when experts are working in the project office and when they are working at locations away from the project office. A work plan showing in a graphical format, bar chart, the timing of major activities, anticipated coordination meetings, and deliverables such as reports required under the TOR using TPF 8, activity work schedule, and E, omnibus sworn statement and using the form prescribed in Section 7, Philippine bidding document. Documents comprising the bid, financial proposal. All information provided in the consultant's financial proposal shall be treated as confidential. The financial proposal must be submitted manually or through online submission using the format shown in the financial proposal forms. The financial proposal requires the completion of 6 forms, particularly FPF 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. PF 1, financial proposal submission form, should form the covering letter of the financial proposal. Form FPF 2, summary of cost. FPF 3, breakdown of price per activity. If FPF 4, breakdown of remuneration per activity. FPF 5, reimbursables per activity. And if FPF 6, miscellaneous expenses relate to the cost of consulting services under 2 distinct categories, namely remuneration and reimbursable expenditures. Remuneration is divided into billing rate estimates for international and domestic consultants. Reimbursable expenditures are divided into per diem rates for international and domestic consultants and cost for other reimbursable expenditure items required to perform the consulting services. The list of experts and their respective inputs identified in financial proposal forms must match the list of experts and their respective inputs shown in technical proposal forms. The consultant shall be subject to the Philippine taxes on amounts payable by the procuring entity under the contract through mandated withholding by local tax authorities of specified percentages of such amounts or otherwise. The BDS details the taxes payable. The financial proposal should clearly estimate as a separate amount the local taxes, including social security, duties, fees, levies, and other charges imposed under the applicable law on the consultants and its personnel other than Philippine nationals or permanent residents of the Philippines. Unless otherwise provided in the BDS, total calculated bid prices as evaluated and corrected for minor arithmetical corrections such as computational errors will exceed the ABC shall not be considered. Bid data sheet. The procuring entity in Department of Public Works and Highways, Agusan del Sur, 2nd District Engineering Office, Barangay Caraos, San Francisco, Agusan del Sur. The evaluation procedure is Quality Cost-Based Evaluation or QCDE. Subsurface explorations, geological and geotechnical investigation with geohazard assessment. The project shall not be phased. The funding source is the Government of the Philippines GOP through TDE FY 2025. The procuring entity will hold a pre-bid conference for this project on this day at Procurement Unit Back Conference Room, DPWH ADS 2nd District Engineering Office, Barangay Caraos, San Francisco, Agusan del Sur, and live stream via YouTube channel. Taxes. 15% withholding tax on a gross amount of local currency. 12% value-added tax on local remuneration. Taxes prescribed by Bureau of Internal Revenue, BIR Revenue Regulations Number 14-2018. Note that consultants should anticipate implementation of any tax measure to be imposed by the government and to consider such in their proposal portion. Any bid with a financial component exceeding ABC amount shall not be accepted. The bid prices shall be quoted in Philippine peso. Bids will be valid until 120 days from bid opening. The bid security shall be in form of a bid securing declaration. The amount of not less than 2% of ABC if bid security is in manager's check. The amount of not less than 5% of ABC if bid security is surety bond. The address for submission of bids and procurement unit, back conference room, DPWH Agusan del Sur, 2nd District Engineering Office. The deadline for submission of bids is on August 24, 2026 on or before 10 a.m. The place of bid opening is Procurement Unit Back Conference Room, DPWH Agusan del Sur 2nd District Engineering Office at the same date and at 1 p.m. For more queries and information, you may refer to the head of the Bids and Award Committees, Engineer Edwin T. Nacorda, or to the BAC Secretariat, Engineer Thelma S. Speso. That's all, Mr. Chair.
So thank you for the presentation for regarding on the bidding documents 26C is INC 001, 2, and 3 are the same. So to the Bids and Awards Committee Secretariat, please check if there are shortlisted consultants present through online. None. So to the Bids and Awards Committee, Technical Working Group, Secretariat, any questions or clarifications on the presentation? So hearing none, so I will declare this private